Hey yo, you are tuning in to season number 2 of the Make Mondays Interesting podcast. This is episode number 2 for the season, and I'm your host, Denzel Gaga. This is a God-given talent production and brought to you by Familiar Accountants, financial solutions for your family. Now, in today's episode, I have a very special guest, a high school friend of mine, who goes by the name of Olan. Olan, how are you going?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me on.
That's good. Are you excited or nervous to be on the show?
I am beyond excited.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you're excited because today's going to be fun, or as I like to say, today's going to be interesting because it is the Make Mondays Interesting show.
I'm ready.
So, because you're a high school friend,
yeah,
I really wanted to ask you this one question.
Sure.
Because this is how my brain works. I think about high school all the time.
All right.
And so I think about, in terms of when I think about high school, I think about what did high school do for me? So the question I want to ask you from the get-go is, did high school prepare you, or do you feel that it prepared you for the real world?
Look, that is such a big question. I can't say yes or no. I feel like it definitely prepared me in some ways and left me very unprepared in others.
Can you give a bit of an example?
Yeah. So we were talking before, like with thinking outside the box and exploring other avenues in life that aren't exactly conventional. I feel like it didn't really prepare me for that. But in terms of pursuing something at uni and studying that and fulfilling that, I feel like it kind of led me more onto that trajectory.
Yeah. So in the sense of that, it prepared you to be ready for uni.
Yeah.
But not so much ready for
life. Yeah, I think so.
Did high school have, in any sense, did it give you any prep for real world though, for life?
A little bit.
Like what areas?
But the one thing that I think it could have prepared me more for is networking, because I think in life it's so important to network, put yourself out there, be the one instigating connections. And I feel like high school's a little bit more spoon-fed, so you don't realize that you have to put yourself out there. Yeah.
No, that's good. It reminds me of someone I had a conversation with, or I've had a conversation with a few people about this very subject, the sense of, I know I need to network, but I don't know how to network. Yeah,
and it's a skill that's really hard to hone in on as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I do remember one of the teachers saying at one point when we were there is that part of getting a job in the workforce, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. Now, he said that, but they did nothing about what does it actually look like? Yeah. What does that practically look like? And I feel it's interesting. It's like, man, teachers obviously know that you need to network.
Because they've been students as well. So.
Yeah. But they're not teaching networking skills.
Yeah, and it's a hard one to teach. But it's something, I felt completely unprepared for, and it kind of hit me by surprise that I need to be the one going out and making the connections, making a name for myself as well. But how do we do that?
Yeah. Have you been networking?
I have.
What's your techniques?
My technique is just putting yourself out there and not letting an opportunity slip by. So if there's someone that you want to introduce yourself to, push yourself and introduce yourself to them, or send them a message, or speak to mutual friends. But that's something I learnt only recently, and we've been out almost 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think if I had learnt that as soon as I got out of high school, maybe I could have some connections that are quite good as well.
Cool. And so just to give a bit of context for the people listening, I know you've told me that you're studying dentistry.
Yeah, so I've done 4 years so far. I did 1 year of biomed. I told you before, I really wanted to get into medicine. That's what I worked so hard in high school to get into. I didn't get in straight away. But I think that was my biggest blessing actually, because through doing that first year of biomed, that's when I decided what I really wanted to do.
Yeah, cool. And so in the world of with the dentistry side of things, how does networking come into that?
Yeah, so even just getting mentors, which is so important in any profession, and through networking, I have gained an amazing mentor who has coached me financially, spiritually, even just through every facet of my life. And I think she's someone that is truly invaluable. And I only got her connection through networking.
Yeah.
And that was only last year. So if I had have done that earlier or been equipped with the tools to be able to network earlier, it, like I said, invaluable.
Yeah, that's cool. And so is this person within dentistry?
Yeah,
she is?
so she's graduated almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
So she's very well acquainted with dentistry.
Yeah. There you go. And she mentoring not just in that sense, in the other senses that you mentioned.
Yeah, all facets of life.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to talk about that mentoring and finding a mentor, because that's an interesting topic. Because all through high school, you can go through, like, a lot of the people who are your mentors are teachers, like teachers that you probably admire.
Yeah.
But once you leave school, you don't have that access to those teachers ever again. And so when you were looking for that mentor and now you found her, what were you looking for in a person?
I actually was looking for a little bit, and I didn't know how valuable this mentor would have been to all these avenues in my life until I started working with her and opening up to her.
Cool.
And likewise to me. So I actually didn't know what I was looking for.
True.
All I knew is that I really wanted a mentor who'd been where I'd been at some point, and how did they get from there to where they are now.
No,
so I think it came as a surprise. I was like, wow, like, this is amazing.
Yeah. This is what I need in my life.
Whoa.
No, that's cool. So, and moving forward, now that you have your mentor, and what are some other benefits that networking is going to bring to your life moving forward and moving into a career?
Yeah, well, it's like you said before, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I really do believe it is also who you know, because through one connection, there's so many possible connections that you could have through just being a good person, that person recommending you onto someone else, and people hearing about you. So I think,
No, that's cool. And how, I think, because, can I ask, is going into dentistry a competitive industry, finishing uni and trying to get jobs? Is it?
There's a lot of people wanting to get into dentistry, and it can be quite tricky to get in. I didn't get into either med or dentistry straight after school because it's quite a high level you have to achieve. But after getting in, it's actually the most supportive environment.
Oh, that's cool.
So the competition isn't within the course, but yes, I'd say to get in, you really have to work hard.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. It'd be interesting then once you're all finished, because you say it's a supportive environment. What's it going to be like once you're all out? Is it every man for themselves?
I feel like that's the common conception, and it is a very saturated industry, but a lot of my peers are actually from Canada or elsewhere in Australia, so we all kind of scatter and go our own ways.
Okay, that's good. So you probably won't be competing with people here on the coast.
Yeah, but it is quite saturated, so we'll see.
But then that comes the important part of networking, and comes it like, because then what I know and what I see in a lot of uni students is that the people who will be the most successful finishing aren't the ones who had the greatest grades. It's going to be the ones who were putting themselves out there during their study so that they could guarantee themselves a position somewhere.
Exactly. And they say that most of the time they don't even look at grades.
Yeah.
So it really is how you've immersed yourself with your surroundings.
Yeah. No, that's good. What else do you reckon? Let's go back to that initial question I asked. Because I'm glad you brought that up, how networking is a skill that they need to teach in school. I would even think about that. When I was thinking about what they need to teach in high school, I was like, they need to teach about things like tax and
well, I mean, that would really help
that would
me.
be helpful too.
Yeah.
Things like, as I was saying to you earlier, I think where I felt deprived from high school was, man, I wish they were equipping entrepreneurs. Because it was just teaching you how to get good grades, work. It's like, well, some of us don't want to be just workers for the rest of our lives. Some of us want to be entrepreneurs, which, yes, involves working, but it's not working for someone or something.
It's really thinking outside of the box. And I've always admired entrepreneurs, and I've always wondered, how do they get there? Because like you said, like school doesn't really tell you how to get there. And it's a whole nother realm of really putting yourself out there, trusting in yourself. Yeah. And I feel like in that sense, school didn't really give us the tools to become an entrepreneur or to have that mindset.
Now, I must disclaim that if any of our high school teachers are listening to this episode right now, hey, the school we went to was a great school. It was. I did enjoy going to it, and I'm not trying to badmouth it or anything. I'm just pointing out things that are wishful thinking of what school could have been like or could be like in the future because before we even press record on today's episode, we had this conversation before, and you made the comment about how we've both chosen different paths. You've chosen university and pursuing dentistry, where I've pursued just more of an entrepreneurial and thinking about business and thinking about, because yes, I have done courses, but I never went to uni. So I did short courses, but so we've both chosen different paths. And an interesting point that you made is that, is like, school in a way school is very limited in preparing only a certain group of people, but not preparing each individual, because each individual has a different path. So it's a very generalized preparation for everyone.
For a certain path.
So what else do you reckon education or the school system should prepare you for?
I think
let's think of what a new education system should look like, because I've seen a lot of people talk about what new education should look like in the future.
I think it is really hard to say because they do such a good job, and there are so many individuals that make up the pupils of a school, and each of those individuals have different interests, different ways of thinking about stuff. And I know schools really try and cover everyone, but a lot of the time it's quite streamlined. It's towards furthering your education, going to uni. And I know they have like trade colleges and stuff, so people who are thinking differently, even from year 10, can pursue that. But there are so many other avenues that are still left uncharted, so to speak. So I think even just classes about networking, about thinking outside the box, about entrepreneurial things, like whatever that means. I feel like that could be quite valuable.
There you go. No, that's good, because I think it was what you said earlier, the sense that we all need some knowledge about business in this world. Part of doing business is networking. Part of business is knowing finances and expenses and income and managing your money well. Because look, some people will leave high school and it's like, look, I've got a job, mum. I'm gonna, I don't know, they buy random stuff or
and I do like clothes, so that's my weakness.
Weakness. Fair enough.
But like I was saying to you as well, I wish I had done business or even on my own research business, because I feel like that is a really invaluable skill to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. What's some other thoughts? Do you have any other thoughts?
Other thoughts on how we can change the education
Yeah,
system?
go on.
I think it's just really focusing on soft skills, not necessarily academics, but how you go out into life and make a name for yourself, and how you manage yourself, how you network. It always comes back to networking. Yeah, I think more so soft skills. It's not all about academics. They can only get you so far as well.
No, that's good. Yeah, sometimes when I reflect on high school, I think, when I first left high school, I'll ask you this, but I'll share my experience just so you can think about it. But I think when I first left high school and my exposure to the real world, I just felt unprepared. Yeah. I felt like I got to learn all these new skills that I haven't even thought about learning or have heard anything about, or kind of briefly heard from overhearing a conversation between mum and dad maybe. And so it's like the adulting things that as soon as you leave high school, it's like, well, I have to learn how to be an adult now. And not like school's good. School's important for everyone to do it and do it well. But also I think there's it's only so much it can teach you, and it's only so much you learn from it, that when you get to your first day out, it's like,
you're like, whoa.
What do I do now? I need to go get a job. I need to better pay bills. I need to do this. I got to sort out. This is my big thing. I remember when I first left, this is how I remember. And my employers are paying super. It's like, what the heck is super? Why is super familiar. Relevant? Yeah. What is superannuation? Like, what? Can't I have that money now? Why do I have to? Why is it being saved away? Put it away, and I can't even control how much they put away. I can't control me touching it. It's like, what is that? And da da da. And like, I just remember that was my first like thing of questions or series of questions. Like, why can't I have that money now? And like, what's the point? What's like, I need that money now. Like, super. Yeah. I did have a. Did you have a? When you first left, and you're outside in the real world, what was your moment of realization?
I was just like, whoa, there's so many bills to pay.
Yeah.
And so much responsibility. Like, you have to really manage your money and manage yourself and stick to a schedule, because you know, like with school, you wake up and you go to school and then you come back. But you just really have to be onto it and manage yourself and just be aware. But I had the same super moment. I was like, why?
Yeah. I feel like any young person's going to have that, because there's no mention of it in a high school setting.
Not that I can remember.
But yeah, look, we had great teachers. I'm super appreciative of the teachers that I had.
Amazing.
What one subject are you most thankful for? Because for me, the subject that I'm most thankful for is history.
Ah, nice.
Purely because, I studied chemistry in high school. Chemistry is not relevant to me right now. Of course, I did 2 versions of math, the math C and the math B, which is like that smarter one and that
you did math C?
Yeah, I did all that.
Impressive.
So but then it's like a lot of the techniques, all I need to know for math is how to add and subtract and divide and times. And really, I've used no skills from math as much. English is a good subject that everyone needs to know, because I've done blog writing. I've done all sorts of writing. I enjoy writing, so I guess that's also a relevant subject for me. Yeah, which prepared me. So I did subjects like that, but when I say history, best prepared me. And interesting because of what's going on in the world right now. There's this quote by a man named George. I don't know how to say his surname. Santayana or something.
Sounds good
Some
to
philosopher.
me.
Some philosopher. And his quote, it's a famous quote. People will know it. It's, "They who don't learn history is doomed to repeat it." And now I didn't learn that quote. I probably learned that quote in high school, but it's a quote that I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially with what's going on in the world right now. Because I feel like what's going on, the chaos we're seeing on the news, it's just people who are uneducated people about, well, like, this has happened in the past and we still haven't learned to resolve now. And
it does have a tendency to repeat itself.
Yeah.
History.
All right, we're back. We had a few technical difficulties with the audio recording device. It shut down on us, but we're back now. And as I was saying, talking about history, one thing what I really enjoyed in high school, yes, was learning about history. Because I think knowing history is super important in the sense of, I think it's very important in business. Because if you understand different cultures, say if you're pursuing international business and you understood different cultures, if you went to a different country, you learnt their culture, the history of the culture, you're best prepared for, in the sense of networking. Yeah. Because then you know how to best communicate with that person in a respectful manner. So history, you learn about the culture. Other things about history, it's like learning about different conflicts that's happened in the world, or different momentous times about what has happened in the world. Why is the world the way it is right now? Because it sounds like, now I know this podcast is a very business focused podcast, and I know it's like, you guys are just talking about school and da. It's like, well, actually, I know it sounds like we're talking about school, but it's just talking about our experiences at school. You know, we wish we learnt networking. We wish we learnt more business things. We wish we learnt entrepreneurial. But I am super glad and thankful that I did history for that pure reasoning, because I now have an appreciation for history. Yeah. And with that appreciation of history, if you know about, even if you know the history of failed businesses or failed ideas, at least then you're not doomed to repeat the same mistakes that other people will make in this context, in business, or in just a general context. If it's politics, if you know history, you're doomed not to make the same mistakes that people in the past have made.
That's a really good point.
So, yeah, anyone listening to me right now or listening to this podcast, I encourage you, study, learn history, whatnot. Just
now I wish I didn't stop it in grade 9. Yeah,
there you go. So what subject are you super thankful for? Because that's now relevant in your life now.
I think there's actually a few. And just because I knew I was very passionate about the sciences, I'm glad I did that, because it did ease me in to studying it at uni. But I would have to say probably English. Not for what I learnt, but for the struggle that it was and what it taught me through that sense. So I always have placed such high expectations on me, and English was something that I struggled so much to get the mark that I wanted. And I remember this one time, like, going with a draft, and then I'd always be so worried, like, what are they going to say about this draft? Yep. And this one time teacher was like, you're going to have to start again. Like, it's not where your level is at. Like, you're going to have to rework it and just completely start it again. And it taught me resilience, because I really wanted that mark so much. And whenever the teacher would say that, which was more often than not, I would have to go home, spend a lot of effort reworking it. Yeah. And I'm grateful in the sense, at the moment, like, it was devastating. It made me so angry. But I learned a skill from it, resilience.
That's cool.
I'd have to say. So I think English for me was the most challenging, and it taught me something other than English.
Yeah.
Just a life skill of resilience.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the whole chasing after grades? Can I ask about that? Because I applied myself in school. I wasn't like a D student. I was
Well, you did math C. That's
I was
something
doing
else.
I was doing B's and some C's. So I was a BC student. But when I come out of high school, it's like no one really cares about the grades I got. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what OP I got or.
Yeah.
So, in hindsight, what do you think? How do you think? How do I best word this? In hindsight, do you believe it was worth putting in so much effort into your schoolwork?
I think so. For my personality, I would just push myself. I just want to achieve the best that I can.
Yeah.
And you're completely right. Like, with how much I pushed myself, my OP didn't even get me into the course I really wanted to do. But the fact that I gave it my absolute all, pushed myself and didn't get in, it's so much better than me not really trying and not getting in, because then there would have been the what if.
True.
And I always just push myself, and it does kill me a little bit sometimes. I have definitely been burnt out at uni.
Yeah.
But I think if you try 110% and you don't get in, you know it's part of God's plan, or you just find another way to try.
Yeah, that's good. So if you were giving, because you were telling me before you're tutoring students privately as well as back at the school that we went to. If you were speaking to a young person, now anyone listening to the podcast, you might be a parent that has a student in high school or in school, so this might be valuable advice. Who knows? But we're not parents, so feel free to tune off. But what bit of advice would you give to a person still studying, still in that high school world right now, from the experiences that you learned? Not in the sense of, make sure you carry the 2 over, not those experiences. I mean, the sense of what did you talked about resilience before. You talked about, hey, at least you tried and you don't have the what ifs. So what would you say to a young person?
I really love this question actually, because I wish I could have talked to myself going through high school and just kind of give me like a little heads up of what to do, what to expect. But I'd probably say think a bit more outside of the box. Like, you can be focused on academics, you can be focused on sports, but there's also so much more just to think about, and don't let opportunities go to waste. So there's been a few opportunities, especially when I first got out of high school, that I kind of waited for them to follow their course and happen for me. But I actually had to learn that I have to really seek those opportunities for them to happen for me. Because with high school, I feel like it's very easy for things to kind of come. It's part of the process. A little bit of spoon feeding. And then all of a sudden, like, you have to chase up those opportunities. You have to be the one. And there are some opportunities that I have missed. And I'd like to say to people in that situation, don't allow yourself to miss those opportunities, because they can really take you somewhere else. Yeah.
Now that's good, because I think, I hope that people listening, there's an aspiring entrepreneur out there that's going to take that piece of advice that you just said valuable, because
I wish I had that advice.
Because a lot of people can be like, oh man, I've got this idea, but are still stuck in that school framework of thinking or mindset of waiting to come to me. Like, I'm just going to wait.
But it doesn't come, does it?
Doesn't come. You have to chase after it. If you really want it, you have to chase after it. Which is something, I'm glad that you've learnt that lesson.
I'm still learning that. Like,
we still are.
I need to actively pursue opportunities. But
no, that's good. Maybe that's something they need to emphasize on saying in school. If you really want it, you got to chase after it. And no, we're not just talking about if you really want an A+, you got to get an A+. It's like, if you really want this career, if you really want this for your life, you have to chase it. They should maybe that's our little advice to the school system, is say these types of things, encourage this in young people. So yeah, but we've talked a lot about school. Now tell me more about yourself, because tell me about what is next for Olan.
What is next? Ooh, that is also a hard question.
Well, which things are you willing to share now? Is there things that you want to keep secret? Feel free to keep them secret.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much an open book.
Yeah.
What's next? I think the career that I'm pursuing is a large part of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm really inspired, and something my mentor has inspired me as well, is to help out with not-for-profit work, or just really immerse myself in the community, because I've learned how valuable that is, and even like a little bit selfishly, how good it makes you feel too. So what is next for Olan is kind of following that avenue and see where that takes me, see how I can help others. That's why I love tutoring so much as well, because I know how hard it is sometimes to get concepts, and how hard I work to get those concepts, and seeing other people work so hard to get those concepts, and then seeing them get them is so rewarding. And yes, whilst it is selfish, because that makes me feel so happy, it also helps others. So I'm currently exploring. I will keep you updated in that.
Can I ask, will you work for a non-for-profit, or will you start a non-for-profit?
Starting a not-for-profit would be insane. Like, that is a very big, big goal.
It is.
But to get there, working for other people's not-for-profits.
Yeah. With doing your own non-for-profit eventually?
Yeah. That.
I don't expect you to do it straight away.
Look, I'll have a think about it, but
yeah.
I think like any help, like whether it's small or big, is big enough.
Yeah. No, that's good. Hey, with non-for-profit and starting your own non-for-profit, on the topic, it's a business on its own.
It's entrepreneurial.
It's entrepreneurial on its own, and networking is involved in trying to get that started, and what charities to be part of.
And that's one of the things, like, I'm so passionate about it, but I'm at a point where I really don't know where to start. Like, I'm just starting helping other people.
Yeah.
But to get into the mindset of accepting that I could be an entrepreneur and open my own is just really daunting as well.
Yeah. My little advice is, don't let it scare you.
That's a good piece of advice.
You just have to do it.
Yeah, because it definitely does scare me.
Yeah. And another piece of advice.
Oh, 2 pieces of advice in one day.
Things that I've learned is that you'll never know exactly what you're building in the first year, or you'll never know exactly what you're building in the second year, or the third year, or the fourth year, except each year, or the longer that you do something and work towards something, another piece of the puzzle reveals itself, and it's and then you begin to assemble a picture to know. Now, some people might take a few months, some people, i.e. myself, can take a few years to really understand what you're trying to build.
Yeah.
But it's a progress, and it's a starting of just going out of my way, or just, I've got this idea, I'm just going to pursue it, I'm just going to do it, and then it'll make sense once I do it.
So don't let my fear of failure get in the way of me starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is something I need to hear.
Yeah, because keep talking about the school system and stuff like that, because I think it's ingrained in young people's minds, and sometimes it takes a lot longer for people to get out of that mentality way after they finish high school. Some people, it might take a year to get out of the mentality, or sometimes it might take for some people it could take in their 50s or 40. Like I've seen it in people where because the school system's ingrained in our minds of, we have to get A's, or we have to succeed, or you have to pass. You don't have to, if you don't get a pass, if you don't get at least a C, you're in that failed category. And so it's just like, Yeah, I don't know, it kind of creates this fear of failure, the school system, in a way, where and it's engraved in our minds because you do it for 12 years or 12 or 13 years. And then it's like coming out of that, it's like, okay, failure is actually the best teacher, or the stumbling block, stumbling and failing forward, probably is a better way to say it. Failing forward, it's like, you made a mistake, or it didn't work out the way you expected to.
Yeah.
But you've actually gained so much more in the experience that you've learned. It's interesting because I think that's something that's engraved into our minds from high school.
It's something that's engraved in my mind for sure.
Yeah. What do you reckon are ways to break it?
I think
for you personally.
For me personally, something that's really helped me overcome that, because with school I had, for me, not achieving certain level was a failure. So I had really high expectations of myself. But the way I've tried to overcome that, and currently still am, is just to make yourself uncomfortable. Like, you have a comfort zone and constantly challenge yourself to step outside of it. Because the comfort zone is like encased by the fear of failure. But if you make yourself uncomfortable, then there's room for growth. And that's something I've had to actively tell myself, like, if I'm not feeling uncomfortable, I'm not growing. And that goes back to taking opportunities, because sometimes you can wait for them to happen for you because it's really uncomfortable to actively pursue them. Or same with networking, like it can be really uncomfortable to put yourself out to someone and ask them to be your mentor. But in doing so, like, you may gain the most incredible mentor. So I'd have to say, step outside your comfort zone and constantly make yourself uncomfortable intentionally. Yeah,
that's good. That's a valuable piece of advice.
Thank you. That's my advice to you.
There you go. I'm gonna clip that and make that the highlight from this episode. I like that.
Cool.
We won't talk for much longer. We'll come close to wrapping up. You talked about earlier, because this kind of is relevant in a way. Now, you talked about how you're passionate about, can I ask about this, public speaking?
Yeah.
So public speaking, now that's for some people that's very daunting.
It is.
It's out of people's comfort zone.
Exactly.
I've just tied the two topics together. But tell me about, because I just want to give you the chance to promote yourself and share more about yourself.
I appreciate that.
So, public speaking, why are you passionate about it? Tell me what the future is for you in it.
Yeah, well, I have this grand goal of speaking on TED Talks.
Hey.
But why am I so passionate about public speaking? And it's like you just connected the dots. It really does challenge yourself outside of your comfort zone. And I shared the little analogy before with you as well. When I was in primary school, I was really quiet. I came to a new school. I was younger than everyone in my grade, and I was just very, very quiet. And I remember I was presenting a speech, and I got up, quite nervous, and the teacher said, "Everyone please come to the front, Olan's speaking." And I was like, "What do you mean come to the front? Like, if you want me to speak louder, like, I'll just speak louder." And ever since then, I've just been super passionate about expressing myself and not being quiet and outspoken. And that is uncomfortable. And that is why I love public speaking so much, because I constantly get that feeling of discomfort, and then I constantly know that I'm growing myself. So yeah, that's a bit about me, and the big goal is TED Talk. So
TED Talk.
We shall see.
Yeah. What will you talk about on a TED Talk?
Oh,
what's your dream speech to talk about?
There is so many things.
I love that goal.
The only thing is, like, there are so many amazing speeches on TED Talk, and they're so unique to the individual. I feel like a lot of things have been covered, so I've really got to think about that one. Yeah.
I know you say everything's being covered, but nothing's been covered from your perspective. So
That's true. That's a really good point.
you're not out of the race to have a TED Talk.
Yeah. We shall see.
Yeah. So, would it be about dentistry, or will it be something else, completely unrelated to that?
So, like, to give you what's going on in my mind, there's so many ideas bouncing around. Like, I'm very passionate about aspects of dentistry, but also like the analogy I just shared with you, and instilling confidence in people who might also be petrified of speaking. So many ideas. I've just got to sit down, and maybe there'll be a few. I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. Well, I am super thankful and grateful that you've come in today.
Oh, my pleasure.
And we get to talk and hear your thoughts about certain topics.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That's all good. And glad to hear your perspective from high school. And I don't know, hopefully, if I was to go back into high school, I'd love to share my own experiences about high school.
Yeah.
And if I was to be a teacher, which I wouldn't be obliged to doing, I'd be open to it. But I wouldn't want to just be teaching from a book. I'd rather teach from my own experiences.
That's really valuable.
About things like what you said, whether it's getting out of your comfort zone or pursuing something entrepreneurial and like when I left high school, I didn't pursue anything that I first had. Podcasting wasn't on my list of things I want to pursue when I'm graduate.
I didn't even think I knew what a podcast was. Maybe I did, but
probably it wasn't as popular, I don't think.
No.
Or not something they've definitely rised in popularity, especially with 2020. But so yeah. Oh, one final thing. 2020. How was 2020 for you? I always want to ask people's 2020.
Well, contrary to popular belief, like, really great year for me.
Yeah, that's good.
And I know a lot of people say it was really hard, and I've been so fortunate that it didn't affect me in the same way it affected a lot of people. But 2020 for me was a year of a lot of personal growth, and it just allowed me the time to kind of embark on that personal growth. Yeah. So 2020 for me, Olan at the start of 2020 and Olan now at the start of 2021 is like a huge growth.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is really cool. And I know a lot of people say 2020 was really challenging, and it had its challenges, but for me, I just grew so much.
Yeah. Because challenges put you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. It all comes back.
And 2021, any big goals for the year? New Year's resolutions or?
There are a few New Year's resolutions, and they all come back to stepping outside of the comfort zone.
That's good.
Yeah.
That should be everyone's New Year's resolution.
I think so.
Stepping out.
If you don't have one yet.
Yeah.
There's one.
There you go. And you don't need to start a New Year's resolution on January 1. It can start.
No.
At any point.
Exactly.
Just not December 31st of the year.
No, because then that's next.
for the next year one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Again, thank you so much for joining me and
thank you for having
chatting,
me.
and it was fun. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for listening to the Make Mondays Interesting podcast. Today has been a very insightful chat, and great to get your thoughts on a few things.
Yeah.
Hopefully some teachers are listening of how they can incorporate real life lessons into a teaching class. I don't know, but
they do an amazing job.
They do an amazing job, so we thank them.
And we love all our teachers.
Exactly. Again, thank you so much for listening / watching. Engage with us, engage with this episode, like it, share it, comment.
Is this where you do like the comment down below?
Yeah,
thing?
comment down below, subscribe. Because the more that you engage, the more people that we can reach to make their Mondays more interesting. So once again, I'm your host, Denzel Gaga. This has been a God-given talent production. Thank you so much for watching / listening. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.